Welcome back to another episode of Creatures of Freedom. Oh, I'm so excited to be dropping on in with you. It is so good. Today, I wanted to say a big thank you to those that are original and also those that are new. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Annie and I am your host of the Creatress of Freedom. And today's topic that we are going to delve straight on into is 3 things that I would do if I wanted to scale my salon with ease. So if you have listened to previous episodes, you might have heard or you might have seen me share on my stories that I am leaning into perhaps opening a salon here in Greece. And so I just know that opening a salon up this time around would be so different. It would, out of all of the lessons and the trials and the tribulations that I've learned over the years, I would now put all of that into play and into practice with opening up something now. So I'm so grateful for all of those trials, tribulations, hard fucking times, celebrations, wins, lows, all of it, right? Because I feel like it is giving me an absolute clear blueprint on moving the salon forward or starting from scratch. So I want to share with you some of these things in what I would do so that the salon would be successful from the minute that it opened. And it might surprise you the things that I'm going to share with you, because you've probably got your own ideas on what you think makes a business really successful. But from being in the industry for, I don't even know what the maths is, like 20 years. Ooh, I don't feel like I'm old enough to say that, but over 20 years. And then also guiding many, many, many salon owners through the same process. I know that what you think might grow your business is potentially not what's going to grow your business. Okay. So the first thing that I would do is I would not rush into it. Okay. I would not rush into getting the salon open and like focusing on all of the interior and what furniture am I going to have and what color scheme am I going to have and what brand am I going to have. I wouldn't do any of that, right? What I would actually do is I would get really, really clear on my why and what my vision is and what my mission is for this adventure, right? Because I don't know about you, but I don't do anything because I'm looking for a quick fix, right? I do things because I'm in it for the long term. I'm in it for the long game. And so if I'm in it for the long game, then it's really important that I understand what the bigger vision is. Because if you don't have a really clear picture on what the bigger vision is, then when days get really hard and times get really tough, that's where you're going to need to connect back into that. You're going to have to connect back into your why. Otherwise, if you just purely make it focused on money related things, when money's not flowing like you want it to flow in, you're going to question, is this what you want to do? And so it's really important to make sure that that vision and the mission is actually bigger than just the focus of the money. And if money is your goal, amazing. Like I'm all for that. Like that's amazing. But we want to make sure that the money isn't the driving factor. Like, why do you want the money? What's the deeper reasoning behind wanting the money? Like, because the money is going to create a certain lifestyle. The money is going to create a certain certain choices, certain things in your life. So what is that? I want you to get really, really clear on that. And so the other reason that this is also really important too is because every decision that you make moving forward needs to be bearing in mind what your vision and your mission statement is. And if it's not bearing that in mind, then you're not sure on decisions that you're going to need to make for the business, right? And so what I mean by that is, let's say that your mission is to really, really help change the industry and really help the new generation coming through to flourish and to have an environment that feels safe, where they can be expansive, where they can be creative, where they can do all of the things that they want to do, right? but then you decide that you don't want to hire any staff, right? Like, see how that doesn't correlate with your big mission and your big vision. So we always want to make sure that whatever your vision and your mission is, that you are then filtering that into your content, into your marketing, into sharing that bigger vision with your clients as well, because clients want to know why you're doing it, right? They want to come and they want to get their hair or their skin done by you, but they want to know the deeper reason. They want to hear why you're doing this. So it's really important that you get really clear on what your vision and your mission is, right? Now, even if you have been in business for a long time, uh, this is a great point for you to reevaluate and maybe go back to that and go, okay, I've kind of lost my way a little bit. Like, I've been in business for a little while, but now I'm like feeling a little bit stagnant. I'm feeling a little bit stuck. So perhaps you might need to go back to what your why is so that you are able to get re-energized. You're able to reignite that spark that lives within you, because if you are feeling that way, that means that something's out of alignment. And when something's out of alignment, resistance builds. When resistance builds, we procrastinate. When we procrastinate, you can say goodbye to your fucking big dream life that you want to live, right? So it's really important that you are really clear on it. So even if you've been in business for a long time, or maybe you're listening to this episode and you are new into business, if you're new into business, amazing, you're going to set the ground running. If you've been in business for a while and you are feeling like, I'm not sure, or maybe you're growing and you're evolving and you're shifting so much as a human being that there's maybe a part of you that's like, yeah, like, I don't know what the next vision is. Like, I'm ready to change directions a little bit. I'm ready to rebrand. And so really getting clear on that vision and mission statement is really, really important. That is number one. Okay. Number two is to know all of your finances. Now, this is an area that a lot of us avoid in the hair and beauty industry. And I want to empower you to stop avoiding it, because when you learn and you understand the energetics behind money, you will learn and understand that it is everything to being able to make more money. Okay. So, what does it mean when I say learning your finances? So, what this looks like is getting really, really clear on, like, what are all of your overheads? Like, every single cent. Like, do not leave out one thing. Add in those freight costs, right? Add in those merchant fee costs that are also added. Like, it's all of the little things that add up over a period of time that all contribute to your expenses. So knowing really, really clear on what all of your expenses are so that you know exactly from the get-go what your break-even point is. And again, if you've been in business for a while and you have no idea what your break-even point is, that's probably actually, I'm not even going to say that is a big problem, right? That's a big problem, because if you don't know what your break-even point is, you're constantly scrounging week to week, not really knowing where you're at, how much money you've got left over, what is actually yours, what is actually meant to be for the business. And so really making sure that you have all of your finances in check when it comes to the costings for when you open the salon is really, really crucial. But these costings are also really crucial to know when your salon's closed, because what I see happen so often is my clients, come to me and they're like, oh gosh, like, I want to take time off over Christmas, but every time I do, like, I feel like I'm just constantly chasing my tail. Like, and when I take time off in Christmas, like, sometimes we're quiet in January and I don't have the cash flow to, like, be able to compensate for it. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I get it. I have been down this path many, many times. So what that means is that when you have that clear indication on what your break-even point is, you now know how much money your salon needs to make even when your doors are closed. And so if you know that, let's say, we'll just pull this number out, let's say it's $5,000, right? You need $5,000 to make. That means that in those weeks leading up to you going away, or taking time off, or closing the salon, whatever that looks like, that means that you have to have that 5K allocated in another account, or, is sitting in your business expenses account, and know that it's there for the time that you close, right? So that might mean that you might need to shift the way that you do business beforehand, or maybe it means that you need to start putting money aside for the time that you take off. I don't want to call it savings, because savings feels very restrictive, and when we say savings, it feels like you're not allowed to spend it, and that's not what it is. We will always want to feel like we're in abundance with money. So perhaps you create an account where every single week you transfer money across, that just sits there, so that when you do take time off, you've always got like a little pool of money to know that you will cover all your expenses, so that when you do come back on the salon floor, you're not having to scrounge around trying to find where is this money going to come from, or maybe you put it on the credit card, or maybe you've had to dip in to your own personal savings. We want to avoid that. So this is why it's really important. This is what I talk about, like with future proofing your business. Future proofing your business is not about the here and now. Future proofing your business is about looking forward into the future, so that you know exactly all of it. And then as more money continuously, effortlessly flows to you, you're not going to need to worry about that, because you're always going to have the money. But if you're someone that is constantly like feels like they're going one step forward and then 10 steps back, then this is like what you need to do. You need to get this clear structure set up for yourself to help your future self. Okay. So there is that part of it when it comes to the finances. There's also the money buckets as well, is another thing that I teach a lot in my community. And so from the money buckets perspective, it's being able to allocate the money. So if we look at this from a feminine and masculinity energy point of view, right? If you think about money and you think about, let's use the analogy. I use this analogy a lot. Let's use the analogy of the river, right? So if you think about the river flowing, so I've actually heard this analogy from one of my mentors. So if you think about the river flowing, the water itself is the feminine, right? She flows, she goes up and over the rocks, she just is in her, she's in her thing, she's in the being, right? And if we think about the walls of the riverbed and the surface underneath, right? That's like the masculine, right? That's the structure. That's the place that's in place in order for the feminine to flow, in order for the water to flow. And so that same principle gets to be put into our money, right? So we have to make sure that we have the feminine and the masculine. And so if you want the money to flow in and out of your life and not be any stress or not be any worries, and just know that the money is constantly flowing, then we must have the masculine structure in place. And so that is where you would be allocating your money. And you would be knowing exactly what your money buckets are, knowing how much you're needing to transfer across into each of your money buckets. And it's not about feeling restricted with the money buckets, right? It's about knowing that the money has somewhere to go, right? The masculine likes a mission. And so if the money knows where it's going, it's more likely to continue to keep building. If the money doesn't know where it's going, then it kind of is going to go in and out of your bank account quicker than you can say the words. So it's really important to make sure that we've got that set up as well. And then the other aspect to the finances as well is really making sure that you have the correct pricing in place. And so really making sure that you're not just guessing, that you're not doing the ring around and going, oh, how much do you charge for a full head of foils? How much do you charge for a facial? And then basing your prices off that. No, that's not what we're doing, right? We are getting really, really specific, and we're really catering to your own needs for the salon. And so what that looks like is making sure that all of your pricing is factoring in the product costs, the time costs, the staffing costs, and the overheads costs. There's lots of cost factors that need to be determined before you can price your services. And so knowing exactly all of that information is going to allow you to price to profit. That's the idea, right? We don't want to price just because Joe Blow's doing this down the road, and then all of a sudden now every single week you're fucking not even sure where you are coming from, or you're not even sure where the money is coming from, or you are scrounging every single week and you're like, oh, what is going on? And you pull the business report and you're like, okay, we did $5,000 this week, but I opened a bank account and there's $500. What the fuck? Where's the $5,000? That's because you're not pricing to profit. And so we never want to guess when it comes to pricing. We always want to make sure that your pricing is set to be really specific to you and your needs and your lifestyle as well that you want to live. If you're someone that wants to be taking, I don't know, 6 weeks off a year, right? And you want to travel and you want to go on planes and you want to go overseas, like, you need to make sure that your business is providing that type of lifestyle. And so if that's the type of lifestyle that you want, then we need to make sure that you're being paid accordingly. And then how do we make sure you're being paid accordingly? Well, we need to make sure that you've got the right profit margins in place for every single service that you're offering within the salon. Okay. So that is my second tip around the financial side of things. The third one that I want to share with you is not to be copying what anybody else is doing. Stay in your lane. If the vision is in you, it is for you, right? So stay in your lane. Don't worry about what other people's pricings are. Don't worry about the language that other people are using on their social media. Don't worry about the fonts that they're using. Don't worry about the trending audio that they're using. Don't worry about the content that they're doing and copying the content. Like, I follow like 3,000 salon owners. Actually, some, they're not all salon owners. Some are my friends as well. But a large chunk of my following is salon owners. And can I say, sometimes my feed is so fucking boring. Sometimes my feed is so boring because you're all copying each other. Literally, like the right now, the current trend is the one where there's two staff members and they're each holding up a sign. And one sign says, we're looking for, and the other person holds another sign up and the other person says, sugar daddies. And then the other staff member looks at her and like shakes her head, and then she flips the sign over and it says, new clients. Literally, like that is nearly every single salon owner is doing that right now. And how do I know? Because I follow you all. And so that is literally what is filling my feed. And I'm like, where is the originality? Where is your flair? Why can't you find your own uniqueness? Why can't you tap into what makes you special instead of copying what everybody else does? So I just really, really want to emphasize this. Like, you're not here to copy everyone else. You're here to make an impact. And if you're listening to this episode, you know that you're more than just a salon owner, right? That is just the only type of women that come into my space. You know that you are meant for more. You know that there is a bigger purpose behind this. You might know that this is just a stepping stone into the next thing that you want to step into. You're here to make an impact. You're here to share your knowledge. You're here to create opportunities. You need to make sure that your pricing and your content and your mission is reflecting that. And if it's not, then we need to be reevaluating, because you are so unique and you are so perfectly unique that we need to tap more into that and not copy what everybody else is doing. It's great to get inspiration, right? It's great to get inspiration, but I would actually be getting my inspiration from a completely different industry. So there's a guy that I follow. He is not a salon mentor. I actually don't follow any salon mentors because I know myself, and I know that I can very easily get caught up in comparison mode, and then that's not healthy for me, because then I'm like, oh, maybe I should be talking about this, or maybe I should be doing this. So I deliberately do not follow anyone that is within the same industry that I'm in for that very reason. But I do follow one guy, and I love some of the content that he shares. And he actually is so what he does, he's a coach, but he helps people quit their daytime job and become an appointment setter, right? So they can travel and they can work from anywhere and be remote working. But some of his content that he shares is really amazing. And I can sometimes take inspiration from that and put my own spin on it from a salon perspective. So it's great to get inspiration, but I actually really encourage you to get inspiration from from other non-salon owners. Try and say that 10 times fast. Because I want you to be different. I want you to be unique. I want you to stand out, right? When I'm scrolling through my feed, I couldn't tell you anybody that actually stands out. And I'm like, oh, they're cool. Because everyone's literally copying each other and doing the exact same thing. And in a space where there is huge competition, right, where there's a lot of like-minded people, you need to stand out. You want to be different, right? So really, really take that on board and start to really be unique and be yourself. And here's your full permission to show up in all of you. Like, don't try and be perfect. If you're not perfect, don't be perfect. If you have a warped sense of humor, I want to see that. Show me that warped sense of humor. Show me who is the person behind this business. And if I want to see that, I guarantee that your clientele wants to see it as well. So they're my three main tips. I could go on for fucking hours and share so many more, but I'm mindful of your time and I wanted this just to be a real quick, short and sharp, straight to the point episode. But I also want to say to you, as well as we're wrapping this up, that did you notice that I didn't say it was anything about hiring more staff? I didn't say it was anything about sorting out an extensive marketing strategy, right? Or spending ridiculous amounts of money on ad spend. I didn't say any of those things. And there's a lot of that going around right now on the market for salon owners to, air quotation marks, grow their business, right? It actually is really basic. It really is so much more basic than that. And look, if you don't have those solid things in place first, those solid foundations, then the marketing and hiring the staff is actually just going to create more chaos and more stress in your life than what it's actually worth. So we want to make sure that before you scale to the next level, that you actually have those solid foundations in place to start with. And then from there, then you can build, right? From there, then you can hire the staff. Then you can start doing the marketing strategy. You can start stepping off the floor, all of those things, right? We have to stop looking for the shortcuts, right? The shortcut is here right now. You're doing the shortcut. You're listening to the episode, right? That's helping you. This is the shortcut. We want to start focusing on the long cuts. And the long cuts is getting yourself into mentorship. It's getting yourself into containers where your mentor can see your blind spots. It's getting yourself into spaces where other women are uplifting you and not letting you play small, right? That's the long cut. That's what we need. If you want to see long-term gain and big gain, that's what we need to start looking for. The shortcuts are you downloading the free PDFs that are constantly being splurged all over social media. It's the free content that you're constantly consuming. They're the shortcuts. Are they helpful? Yeah, they are helpful. But if you really want to put skin in the game and you really want to see like big dramatic results and changes in yourself and in your business, then you need to put skin in the game and you need to be in mentorship. There's really like, I'm going to preach that till I come home. This is why I'm nearly $1 million into my own personal development, because I truly believe that it is the thing that does change the trajectory of your life and of your business. So, if this was helpful, I would love to hear, but let's just quickly recap over those three things that I shared with you. So, number one, don't be rushing into opening the business. Get really clear on the vision and the mission that you've got for the business, okay? Number two is to know all of your finances. Know exactly where you're at so that before you even open the doors or before you go and hire more staff, you know exactly where the business is at financially. And number three is not being concerned about copying anybody else. Actually tap into your own uniqueness, because you are so special and you are so unique. And what you have to share with this world is important. And that is where you're going to make an impact, because you share from your own space, not copying from anybody else's. So if this has been super helpful, you know that I would love to hear from you. Come and shoot me a message on the DM on Instagram or Facebook, or you can shoot me an email as well. I would love to hear from you. If you are interested in actually delving deeper and actually getting the frameworks that I've talked about today, like the money buckets and the pricing software and the vision and the mission statements, and how to tap into your own uniqueness. This is the type of work that we do inside Evolve. So you will find the application and all of the information in the show notes. So go and have a look. Applications are currently open right now. I would love to see your name come through on my emails to say that you've completed the application. It's so beautiful, this current container that we've got going right now. The women are so ready. Like, there's so much vulnerability, there's so much support. They are making big changes. They're quantum leaping right now so much that everything's like falling away, and they're just stepping really into this beautiful path of pure alignment. And it's so beautiful to witness. And I would love to have you there. So if you've listened to this episode, there is no doubt in my mind that that is your next call. Come and jump into your long cart, right? Let's jump into your long cart. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, my DMs are always open. I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.